So CNN has been doing multiple stories about Infowars, and their implication continues to be that they should be banned from, their respective platforms that they're on. So let's take a look here. This is Brian Stelter on Reliable Sources. Let's watch, and then we'll discuss.
Companies say they are working hard every day to stop the spread of misinformation. And they say they want to help people find reliable sources. Here you go. One day this week, I was at a press event at YouTube all about this. And the next day, CNN's Oliver Darcy was at a Facebook event about this. So he asked a simple question. How can Facebook be serious about fighting misinformation and still let Infowars have a page with nearly 1 million followers? Here to tell us what happened next is CNN senior media reporter Oliver Darcy. Let's talk about why Facebook reacted the way it did. You asked this question at a press event. Here's a part of Facebook's answer in this kind of formal statement they issued later. They say, look, we see pages on our site that are on both the left and the right, pumping out what they consider opinion or analysis, but which others call fake news. We believe banning these pages would be contrary to the basic principles of free speech. So what do? Instead, we demote individual posts that are reported by Facebook users and rated as false by fact checkers. So that's the Facebook explanation. Why does it not hold water?
Right. Well, I went to this press event where they aim to tout their fight against misinformation and conspiracy theories online. And after the presentation, I asked a very simple question. How can you host Infowars and then sit there and tell us that you take misinformation online to be seriously? And at the time, the Facebook executives didn't really have a good answer.
But the answer from Facebook is pretty clear. They say, we demote those BS stories so fewer people see them. That is action.
Right. It is action, and that's Facebook's argument. I think a lot of people are saying maybe that's not enough action. Why would you poison 100 people with false information if you're acknowledging that it's not good information? It's not good enough for a large audience, so why would it be good enough for a small audience? And I think that is going to be a question that Facebook's going to have to answer going forward.
Yeah, so the company's response, it says, these sites might be opinion or analysis. I think the reason why this offended so many people is because they're suggesting it's an opinion, it's an acceptable opinion.
Right.
That, for example, the Sandy Hook massacre was a hoax.
And it's classified on their website as a news and media website. And Facebook's basically saying different publishers have different points of view. I think this is not really a case of different point of view, left or right. It's really a matter of right and wrong, right? And Facebook could come down and say this is poisoning the well. This is bad information. We're not going to host this kind of content on our platform. Facebook's instead saying that we're going to be not removing content that's false. And kind of interesting from the company that says it's doing a lot to fight misinformation online.
And this is not just an issue for Facebook. It's an issue for Twitter, for YouTube, for other tech platforms as well. Infowars pops up on all of them.
Right. Infowars has a YouTube channel. They have a Twitter page. Alex Jones is non-stop tweeting and live streaming using Periscope, which is a Twitter product. And so it does really beg the question, do these tech giants have a responsibility to stem misinformation online? And if it does it stop with Jones, or does it also go transfer to other outlets?
That's probably where this gets so complicated, though.
Right.
Facebook and other tech giants do not want to be in the business of deciding what's true or what's false.
Right.
They would much rather let the algorithms just, demote really ugly content.
I think
and
that's
not
why,
have to make decisions.
Yeah, I think that's why Facebook does not really want to take a position on this. They don't want to ban them outright because they're afraid that that's going to be seen as censorship against conservatives and particularly the pro-Trump media.
Alex Jones is going to hear this. He's going to say, why is CNN out to get me? Why are you trying to take me down?
Right.
The reaction?
My reaction is I was asking a very simple question at a Facebook event where they said that they are stemming misinformation online, that they're very serious about combating misinformation, conspiracy theories, and fake news. And so I think the obvious question is, how can you host the leading purveyor of conspiracy theories online while claiming simultaneously that you're serious about fighting fake news on your platform?
That's the question.
So there are a few things to point out here. The most important one is, is Alex Jones promoting fake news? Well, without a doubt, yes. I mean, there's no question about that. We cover him all the time, and virtually all my commentary is like, okay, that's factually wrong, that's stupid. And I stand by my record on all of my segments debunking Alex Jones. So does he promote fake news? Without a doubt. But I take issue with the whole premise of their conversation, which is like, oh, You have to, something has to be done. It has to be done. It has to be done. Now, I get it. They're saying, well, no, that's the claim that Facebook is making. Facebook is saying, oh, we're doing so much to fight fake news. And the response from CNN has been like, oh, really? You have Infowars on there, so you're obviously not doing that much. But there is an implication with what the CNN hosts are saying there, which is you should really not kick them off your platform. Now, if anybody is justified in, having some sort of vendetta against Infowars, it's Brian Stelter, because Alex Jones has gone on these really weird, creepy rants against Brian Stelter that actually have scared the shit out of me and made me feel like, Jones needs medication. Like, that bad. You can go back and check those out. Type in Secular Talk, Alex Jones, Brian Stelter to, the search box if you want to see my commentary on that and see the video of Jones flipping out. But so I get Brian Stelter and why he'd be against Alex Jones and why he'd, want to talk about this stuff. But at the same time, for the life of me, I don't understand how they don't realize how terrible a precedent that would be. So let's say you kick Alex Jones off of Facebook, off of Twitter, off of YouTube. Okay. Well, I've already seen articles from CNN, nonetheless, that link alongside Alex Jones Jimmy Dore. They said, oh my God, here's this conspiracy theorist on the left named Jimmy Dore, and the reason he's a conspiracy theorist is because he spoke about how the evidence for Assad using sarin gas against his own people is non-existent, and the U.S. bombed before there was even an investigation. Okay, well, see, when Jimmy says that, that's what we call factually accurate. Just because CNN and mainstream media is parroting the narrative that came directly out of the Defense Department doesn't mean that they are factually correct and Jimmy is wrong. In fact, Jimmy was 100% factually right, and he was included in an article alongside Alex Jones and literal neo-Nazis about fake news on YouTube. So, you see the problem here? If you start, kicking people off of the platform and banning them and censoring them, well, it all starts with, do it with the worst ones, just the fucking really hateful assholes. Okay, get rid of them. Well, then it becomes a he said, she said game of, well, now some people say Jimmy Dore is a terrible conspiracy theorist. Well, people on the left can keep pointing at people on the right like Steven Crowder and Ben Shapiro and saying, hey, listen, man, it's not that they're just giving opinions. They are factually wrong about a lot of the stuff they talk about. Like, for example, when it comes to taxes, when it comes to foreign policy. There are demonstrable, proven falsehoods that those guys spew. So, okay, that is by definition fake news. It's untrue stuff that they keep reporting. Should they go? So the left is going to point to the right and say they got to go. The right is going to point to the left. You think a Ted Cruz voter is not going to point at this show and say, oh my God, he's terrible, he's doing fake news, look at how disparaging he is of conservatives and of fundamentalist evangelicals. So everybody is offended by something. Everybody's going to say something's hate speech when it's not hate speech. Everybody's going to say something's untrue when it's not. Or maybe it is, but that's the point. Either you go down this path and set the precedent of banning people, or you just draw one clean line and say, you know what, it's all allowed. I'm in the camp of it's all allowed. Now, if you want to say, hey man, no direct threats of violence, you're kicked off if that happens. If you dox somebody, you're gone. In that case, sure, yeah, of course there can be rules, but the question is, do you want to lean toward the side of free speech, or do you want to lean toward the side of we're going to be the mother patrolling the internet and trying to protect the public from things that we deem unworthy of them to see. But the problem is, who the fuck would trust Silicon Valley oligarchs to be objective in this decision making? And the answer is nobody should. I mean, there are going to be some people who trust it, but they're just wrong to trust it. I mean, God damn it, CNN is begging for more censorship here. Guys, CNN, they were the people, along with the rest of the mainstream media, who did all of the fake news on the lead up to the Iraq War. You know, there are a lot of people out there who CNN would accuse of doing fake news that never did fake news that led to a literal invasion of another country that killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people. mainstream media referred to torture as enhanced interrogation because the Bush administration told them to. Now, it was really torture, but they called it enhanced interrogation. Why? Because they were doing fake news to do propaganda for the government, so they could still have access to that government when they wanted it. So what happens when CNN does fake news? What happens? Joy-Ann Reid just did a thing the other week, and we spoke about it on the show. She lied about not making blog posts that she definitely made. So that's fake news. Should Joy-Ann Reid not be allowed on YouTube or Facebook or any of these social media platforms? I mean, if they're being objective in how they enforce their rules, the answer is yes. We've spoken about this in the context of Donald Trump. Donald Trump has quite literally violated Twitter's vague-ass rules on hate speech, talking about, when he was threatening North Korea to bomb North Korea going months back on Twitter. So threatening violence, there's one example. The disparaging things he said about Muslims is another example. So he's violated Twitter's terms of service. Should he be banned? No, see, the point is, guys, you should lean heavily towards the side of freedom of speech. Only in the clearest cases imaginable should you be able to, kick somebody off or do something like that. But don't trust Silicon Valley oligarchs. They're not going to be objective in how they enforce these things. What they're going to do is have a very pro-establishment media bias, which is why CNN does this segment, by the way. Because they know that no matter what, they're always going to be the last man standing because they're the most trusted name in news. So even though they do terrible fucking fake news bullshit all the time, but we're the most trusted name in news because we're coasting off our legacy and off that fucking slogan, so we escape any censorship crackdown. Which means that they're going to cheerlead censorship all day because they actually have a financial incentive to do so. Because they know it eliminates the competition. And see, that's my point in this segment is, CNN, you guys, if you really wanted to, you could do a giant expose on Alex Jones. You have the resources, you have the money, you have the manpower. This little rinky-dink show here, we debunk Alex Jones on a weekly basis. I've converted more people away from Alex Jones than CNN ever will. They're cheerleading for his censorship. I don't cheerlead for his censorship. I say he should have the right to speak, and then I'm going to bust up the stupid bullshit you say, because it's exactly that, stupid bullshit. But instead of engaging and destroying and logically breaking down, instead of debunking him, what they do is they try to draw clean lines around the conversation and say, no, you're just outside of that conversation and we're not going to allow you in the conversation. But that's not going to convince people. If anything, that puts him in this corner as, ooh, he's the edgy outsider. You just defined him as the edgy outsider, which could attract more people to his nonsense. So this would set a terrible precedent. Who the fuck would the fact checkers even be? Who's going to fact check the fact checkers? It's all that's going to happen is legacy media gets a competitive advantage over all independent outlets. And it would never be enforced objectively because when CNN does fake news, when Fox News does fake news, when MSNBC does fake news, there's no punishment. There's only punishment if you're independent, if you're smaller. And a price I'm willing to pay to have a free and open system is allowing the fringe lunatics like Alex Jones to also have a voice. Now, again, I'm in favor of fighting back against them. So, yes, argue, debunk, demonstrate stuff, prove it, do a logical breakdown, show the evidence, show where he's wrong. And that's how you win. You don't just declare that they're outside of the realm of debate. They are literally not, in the sense that he has like 3 million fucking listeners. So even though you want to pretend like, oh no, he's outside of the debate, he's literally not outside of the debate. He's not. He's just not. So for you to say, oh yeah, we're going to act like we're going to deplatform him. But why? He's in the debate. He has the followers. Instead of addressing what he's saying, you're just like, no, he's outside of the debate. See, the thing is, when CNN begs for or implies that Alex Jones should be banned, it somehow makes them look more petty than Alex Jones, which is like unbelievably stupid because he's such a menace and he's so bad and he's so full of shit. But when you do shit like this, he just capitalizes on it. Now, oh my God, I'm the victim. Oh my God, I'm the edgy outsider truth teller, which is why they're trying to censor me. And they're calling for me to be banned. I'm not calling for them to be banned. So, wow, look at that. I must be right. So you just got to stop it. They think they're doing like good work. You're not doing good work. And it strikes me, the thing that annoys me more than anything is that it strikes me like they genuinely haven't thought through this. Like they really haven't thought, okay, what precedent does this set if we get rid of Infowars? What precedent is that? Who else would it affect? And by the way, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, I don't even agree with the demoting of the stories. I don't even agree with that because again, guess who gets swept up in those algorithms and gets pushed to the bottom? Me, Jimmy Dore, TYT, all these other outlets that most people probably wouldn't want swept to the bottom if they knew what we were saying and they knew it was accurate. But oh no, the way Kyle talks and the specific topics he covers, you can't talk about Saudi Arabia and permanent Israeli apartheid and get your story promoted or not get your story tampered down. You're talking about taboo subjects, so we will just lump that into the fake news category. Oh, Kyle, you did a segment where you covered Charlottesville neo-Nazis, but since neo-Nazi is in the title of your video, we're scared it's actual neo-Nazi content, so we're going to deprioritize it and demote it. That's how these algorithms work. They're not specific, they're not nuanced, they're not doing the job they were designed to do or supposedly designed to do. They are hurting independent content creators. So even the idea of like, oh, we're doing a good thing, we are demoting content that we say is fake news, but you don't even know what the fuck fake news is. You don't. These are from the same people who thought it was bullshit when we got the WikiLeaks information about the DNC rigging the primaries. The same people who refuse to cover that are going to tell us what fake news is. No, that news was accurate. You just didn't like it, so you didn't cover it. So it's annoying. It's annoying. We're not fighting a fair fight here. It's people with all the money and all the power and all the control versus independent content creators. And it's upsetting, is what it is, to say the least.